Welcome to Future of Work, a series exploring the trends, technologies, and mindsets that are shaping the way we approach the workplace. So no matter where you are working from or what your role is, pull up a chair and join us as we talk about the future of work. On today's episode, our host, Reid Hiatt, CEO and co-founder of the Hybrid Work Solution Tactic, sits down with Blaine Dudgeon to talk about his experience and success managing a hybrid workforce. Now, Blaine is an associate manager of talent success at Ultradent Products Inc, and he played a key role in helping Ultradent rank in the top 10 of Forbes Best Workplaces in Manufacturing in 2021. He has some incredible insights for any manager looking for ways to improve their company culture, attract new talent, and better connect with their team. Enjoy.
Again, Blaine, we're really excited to have you on the show, kind of pick your brain and see what you're doing that's working so well at Ultradent. This is, I think it just sounds like, just from the little bit that I've heard that you guys are really have figured out this whole hybrid work and how to manage it and how to keep employees happy. And so, with that said, obviously a ton has changed over the past 2 years. And I'm curious, what's the secret sauce? What's the magic that you've done at Ultradent to just make it effective? And kind of an additional question to that is, what was initially the reaction that Ultradent had when the shutdown first occurred?
First, thanks for having me on and inviting me to come and speak with you guys. I would say, man, the secret sauce, I think you'll hear it from a lot of other places too, but adaptability. I think Ultradent prides itself on its ability to adapt, to kind of roll and ebb and flow with everything that's been going on. And that's not an easy thing. We're a manufacturer. We're not a strictly, an office or tech kind of company. We have a blended workforce. We have people that have to be on site manufacturing our product. And then we have a level of leadership too that has to be there on site to support. And so we have people that are kind of right there in that middle ground of on site versus remote, and managing both people on site and managing people remotely. When this first initially hit us, when everybody was affected by the pandemic. When this first initially hit, remote work really wasn't something that was a part of us. It wasn't as much on our radar. We kind of had some, I think, old school mentality of, you work on site. We have a lot of good values in our company. We have kind of a family feel. And I think that kind of extended into, you work on site, you work together, there's quality and there's good performance and production that comes from that. But our values and our adaptability is kind of what led us to, when the pandemic hit really hard, was to make the choice to move to more hybrid and more remote work. Our core values are, we have care and quality and integrity, and recognizing when the pandemic hit that we couldn't provide a quality workspace, a safe workplace for people with everybody on site. And so they pushed very quickly to move as many people that could remotely. So then there's less people on site. It helps to protect and keep people safe that have to be on site. And also the people that don't have to be, keeps them safe. It allows them to stay home and to be safe at home, allow them to social distance. And those decisions, say, were affected by kind of our core values there: care, quality, and integrity being some of them. So really, it was very quick. It was very. I remember it because I was actually sick with the flu the 2 days before, and I was about to come back into the office. I was messaging my leader saying, "Hey, I'm coming back in," and I get this: "Don't come in, don't come in. We're sending everybody home. We're going to be working from home right now." And it was almost like coming back, and like there was all of a sudden a giant fire going on. But our leadership is great, and they addressed it very quickly. And so we immediately started working from home, and kind of started adjusting from there. And that's it. Being able to adapt. We had a lot of things to learn very quickly, but I think we were able to adapt, and that helped us to find a lot more success with this kind of new work.
New way of working. Yeah,
Yeah,
no.
yeah, yeah.
No, that's that is something that we've seen. Typically, companies that do have strong core values have an identity and consciously invest in that identity and those core values. Typically, have been able to weather the storm, if you will, and really come out of this almost stronger, just with all the changes that have happened. And one of the other things that we've seen, just as we've gotten further into just further down the road since the shutdown is. Employee engagement is something that is huge, and typically I think most organizations, most individuals, even employees, took it for granted the ability to on a daily basis interact with their coworkers, and that's something that just doesn't happen as frequently or has to be a little bit more coordinated, isn't as natural, just with people having some more flexibility that we hadn't had prior to the pandemic. And I'm curious, um, what are some of the struggles that Ultranet has had regarding talent development and employee engagement in a hybrid office? And piggybacking on that question, what are some things that you've done to implement at Ultranet that have helped kind of overcome some of these struggles and help retain that intention and that engagement?
Uh, yeah, I think the first thing, I mean, honestly, the first hurdle that we faced going remote was just connecting with people. Just the first thing of engagement, honestly, is just have that kind of connection um, with somebody. And so we very quickly learned how to utilize our technology a lot better. Before, for somebody that wanted to contact us in HR, it would be just walk into the HR office and find somebody who's there. Now we had to train people and teach people this is how you get a hold of us, this is how you can reach us. But it opened more options actually. We could message each other, they could call us through our computers, they could video call us. We were when we did an assessment kind of evaluation after the first year, um, we had a lot of leaders and a lot of people in the company actually say that for our department, for HR, we were the most accessible that they have ever experienced. And
That's
these are people
awesome.
that have been with us for decades. We have some really long tenured people and some leaders that have really been around. And they're saying this is the most accessible that HR has ever been, and other departments as well. And it was really we had a constraint. We had this, we were no longer in the office, but we learned to adapt and what we need to do and start utilizing technology more. But then with that, it was just more for driving engagement was then utilizing that technology and utilizing new tools. With my role within our talent success team, our focus is on engagement and development. And so it had us to learn, we had to learn how to connect better with the leaders and provide them the tools because they were all of a sudden more of our resource on how we support employees and support people. So we had a couple things happen. We had our learning development manager created a tool that assessed it was a skills assessment, it was a talent assessment. We could see the potential. Um, uh, we would look at a position and see what the risk was, and kind of would we assess a score to it. And it was looking at risks like. Do we have any internal replacements? Do we have anybody developing towards that? What is the recruiting strategy like? Is it difficult to recruit for? How much institutional knowledge will this role have? So she created a tool for managers to use and assess that, and then that helped us on the talent success team work with those leaders. Saying, "Hey, this is a position at risk. Let's I don't know. Let's look at who's available on your team. Who can we develop? Who's interested in developing towards this role?" And these tools like were coming out because we had this constraint of we had to use technology more. We weren't together anymore. Before we could just go see people and talk to people, and it kind of just done, I think, more on a grassroots kind of style. But this caused us to use technology more, to be a bit more analytical, use some data, use some of that behind us, um, and then I think the other thing for as far as engagement goes is just adapting. Everybody is different. Some people like the remote style work. Some people like myself. I mean, working in HR, we're mostly people. We like to work
Yeah.
with people face to face. And so we found different ways to kind of engage with each other and then encourage that through other teams. We would meet as our HR team. We would do silly things over phone or video calls and video conferences. We do like little virtual get-togethers and things like that, just to try to help keep our team strong and keep our team together. So it was kind of more on that adapting side. What did we need? We needed a bit more engagement. We needed to be able to talk a bit more.
Yeah.
Other teams not as much, but it's just adapting to those needs.
Yeah, no, that totally makes sense. It sounds like the first core thing that you guys did really was look at communication and say, okay, clearly we're not going to be sitting next to each other anymore. How let's define how we're going to communicate, both as a team, as a company, and then if there were gaps, what technology is available to make this even easier and help us connect. And then that was paired with a really conscious effort on everyone's part really in the organization to drive engagement with some of these other activities, which I think is really cool. It's something that we've seen with some other companies that really kind of define what communication looks like in the hybrid workplace. What's and make that a reality and make it part of their culture. They have seen a lot of engagement, and they haven't seen a big drop off in people just chatting and connecting and being on the same page.
Yeah.
And
W-
and I
I say we have to struggle with it too, because I
Yeah.
mean, while we're trying to connect with people remotely, we still have people on site that we're also trying to connect with, and and finding ways to kind of do both. Because we have a program called Ultra Lead, which is kind of our leadership training program. And with the changes and we're moving more hybrid and more remote, as we pivoted. That was an in-class training, and we shifted that to a virtual training, that allowed people on site and virtually to participate. And so it's kind of adjusting to a lot of those kind of different needs. But it opened up a lot more opportunities. And that opened up more opportunities to really connect to some of our people that have already been kind of remote. Our sales force that is spread throughout the country, some of our international offices and stuff. It's helped us connect better with those different places, and I said, and open new opportunities. So
Yeah, that's so cool to hear. And honestly, it kind of makes me want to ask you. So, the Great Resignation, right? That's something I think most of us have heard about, and it's a hot topic right now. And clearly, Ultranet has done a lot of things right just in the past 2 years to again, just to reference some of the accolades in the past year. Ninth in Forbes Great Places to Work in Manufacturing, and uh, great place to work certified in 2021, which I think is really really cool. And I'm curious. Clearly, that's the Great Resignation is something that you guys are aware of, just with some of the initiatives and the things that you're doing as an organization. Have you seen these programs, these different things that you're doing, uh, impact employee retention and improve it relative to kind of what we're seeing across the board on average?
yeah, we've seen, I think, some good success with it. And I said the Great Resignation. I mean, it's a topic that's being constantly thrown around. We hear it in a lot of different places, and so it's something that we've been aware of. Um, I really, what it is for us is it just means there's more competition in the marketplace. To be clear, I have, because I see it all over social media. Your uncle or your family that's like, nobody wants to work. This Great Resignation, which really it's not that people don't want to work. It's that people are finding better opportunities elsewhere. Part of my role with our talent team is I do all of our exit interviews. And when somebody is leaving, they're usually leaving because they have a better opportunity or better offer elsewhere. And that's part of somebody's journey. We understand that at Ultradent, like that is somebody, their employee journey is might lead them away from us, but that's okay. As long as we supported them, they brought their skill set to us, and when we gave them opportunity to develop, that's okay. That's something we understand. But we push for those that certification, the Great Place to Work certification. We're trying to push for that again this year, and then reaching Fortune's number 9 on their manufacturing. It's virtually, they said it was virtually unheard of, but that was our first time doing the Great Place to Work and stuff, and that gets us into these other lists. And they said that this is the first time it's almost impossible for a company on their first time to break the top 10 of any list. And so it was something like, though, that we already knew about ourselves. Like we knew people, like our employees appreciated our culture and our values, and now everybody else gets to hear about it. But yeah, and I think that's part of our retention strategy for things like the Great Resignation um, is people understand the value that they get when they come to work at Ultradent. And it's being able to, part of that is just being able to adapt to the needs of what people need. And say when somebody is leaving, when they're with this Great Resignation, they're leaving to go to something better. And so we keep an eye on that of, are we offering the best support, the best benefits, the best balance? There's always going to be competition out there. There's always going to be someplace that might pay a little bit better. But is the full value they're getting from us something that keeps them and helps retain them? And I think we do that well. I think we're looking at development opportunities for people. Right now, I'm working with one of our learning development specialists to develop career pathways for our production workers, basically. So our entry level production workers, we're working on finding ways for them to, how do they develop into the company further. So you start with us as a production worker, you have opportunities and you have options. You can grow as we grow, as you work hard and live our values. um,
That is awesome. I love that. I really do. I think that's honestly, I think, a huge reason why people leave. It's not just, it's that people are looking to grow. And so if they understand that, hey, I can grow it here, I'm not limited in my growth, then they're much more likely to stay, because they know that they can become, the working professional that they want to become. They don't have to leave in order to do that, which I think is fantastic. Um, Okay, so I think you've already shared a ton of really helpful advice for people, really not just in the manufacturing space, but really in any industry. Um, but I'm curious, do you have any advice specifically with your role in talent management for companies that are moving to this hybrid way of work? Maybe they already have, but um, there is some challenges that it's just not quite as smooth. They're struggling with that employee engagement. Do you have any, I don't want to call it quick fixes, but any advice that you would say, hey, you should start here and kind of build on this?
yeah. Um, I thought about this, and there's really only two things, and I think I've kind of mentioned them already. One is, let your values guide your decisions. We I think we heard a bit more during the summer and some last year of when people are returning to the workplace. And if people liked working at home, they didn't want to go back into the workplace. And there's quite a few articles that were written in big companies that were saying, you have
The
to go
office
back
is
to the
dead.
workplace.
Yeah.
And it's, yeah, and there's other conversations going on and saying no, like the office work life is gone. And and for us, we let our values guide our decisions. I said our core values are integrity, care, quality. We have hard work and innovation. And when deciding to whether continue to stay remote or to hybrid or come back in the office, we looked at those values, and our decisions had to be backed by those values. So after the pandemic, I mean, especially this last summer, we moved to a hybrid style. So I was into the office once or twice a week. We had a rotating schedule so that we had HR presence on site. But then we're still adaptable. We had higher spikes of COVID in Utah here, so we decided to go back to being fully remote just to be safe and to protect people. And but every decision we've made has been backed by our values, and that's helpful, especially when, if it's a difficult decision. If you're telling people to come back into the office, there has to be a strong reason why, and not just based on numbers, but people need to feel it. And I think that having strong core values that guide your decisions helps you with that. The other thing I would say, managing a hybrid workforce, especially with developing people within the talent success world, is just being adaptable. You have to kind of be fluid right now. There's always new challenges that are coming up. And say for us, one of our values is innovation. We've continued to find ways to innovate, and it's not just innovation for us. It doesn't mean just new products or new services or anything like that we offer. Innovation for us is just new ways of doing things. We're open to new opportunities and wherever they might come from, and so continuing to adapt. It's I was just saying, we were in the office for a bit. No, we're not right now. We'll probably go back into the office when cases go down and it's safer to do so. But we're going to continue to do things like that. We're going to continue to adapt to the situation. The other way with adapting too is we recognize that people enjoyed working from home, and we still, and then we saw that people were still productive and still performed well working from home, but they had a better, life balance with that. My wife and I, we had our first kid during the pandemic. That
Congratulations.
Thank you. That was a life changer. He's almost 2 now, and but it was so great working. Honestly, it was great working from home when he was born because I could help support my wife. I could, if I needed to help her for a few minutes, or I could still work. I could stop and help, and I could still be close with him and be connected with him in those first early months and early stages of life. It was amazing. And my story is not, the only one. We have a lot of other employees that have had similar things. I was on a call last week with one of our IT leaders, and he was a few minutes late to the call, and he was like, "I'm so sorry, my kid, his kids were doing school from home, and kids have issues, and there was a computer issue, and kids fighting. So like, I had to help my wife for a few minutes with this situation." And I love that. I was like, I love that you can help your family, be supportive of your family, and still be able to be doing your work. And so there's no problem with that. And I think having that opportunity now has been a real, people have really enjoyed that. They appreciated that. And so we've followed our values and adapted to that to allow people to have that balance a lot more. So those are the two things. They have, let values guide your decision. That helps you to explain your decisions and back your decisions, and then just continue to be adaptable with all the changing circumstances.
Yeah, I love both of those pieces of advice. I particularly love the values one because I think it's honestly it's applicable to every phase of the business. But what it does is it creates alignment across the organization. When you have a workforce that truly believes and knows your company's core values, you're more likely, and you base real decisions off of those core values, you're more likely to see an alignment in decision making across and throughout the organization.
Yeah, I mean, it's every decision you make. For us, it's been like, everything. What technology you use, what tools you use. It's allowed us to explore more and more options. It's how we handle people going in and out of work. I mean, we set up for our hybrid workforce. People coming inside. We set up. Um, uh, People could reserve desk space. We don't have identified offices. We have a few for upper management and stuff, but you can go in, you can reserve an office space or a desk space and stuff. And it was just ways to help communicate when you were coming on site, and it's just and so it was when we were deciding what tools to use. We were going basing it off our values and then adapting to the needs that we had. So
Yeah, I love that. It sounds like those accolades last year were well earned. So, and I have one last question for you. This is kind of looking into the crystal ball a little bit, but again, tons of changes over the past 2 years. I personally think that we're just at the beginning. I think that this is really the last 2 years have been an opportunity to kind of just reevaluate everything in the workplace. And I think that we've seen a ton of new technologies, a ton of new things come out of of the pandemic that we experienced, and I think we're going to continue to see things evolve. And I'm curious, Blaine, what is your prediction? What does the workplace look like 5 to 10 years from now?
my predictions, man, I'm not a good fortune teller here. Um, 5, 10 years from now, I think, I mean, we're going to continue pushing technology. I think people are going to continue finding remote work an opportunity. I know you have some on that side of. I know Zuckerberg talked about the metaverse and virtual workspaces and things, and I think we will push more towards that direction. But my other side of me, my background is in actually community recreation, and so I'm very connected with people. I like working with people side by side. I like some of that physical interaction, and there's need for it too. There's a lot of science that back up that need for physical interaction. So I think we'll continue pushing towards this side. I think we'll also realize how important hybrid is, or finding better ways to connect with people. People's values might shift a little bit on how they want to connect. And so I think we'll continue pushing towards that side, and I think companies need to adapt to the virtual side and the technology side, but still remember that I think having connections, and sometimes physical connections with people, is important. You have companies like ours where we have that blended workforce, and that is important, because we do have people on site and we have people remotely. So I think we'll find a balance within within the next 5 to 10 years, but I think we will push a lot more virtually. I think we'll hit a point where we're like, well, we still need to to see each other face to face every once in a while. And like I said, it might be less that we have that physical contact and stuff, but I think it'll still be there. But it'll be based on, situation by situation, company by company, and people needing to adapt. So
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, Blaine, I just want to say thank you so much for coming on with us. Honestly, it's clear that you have been very adaptable. You have been very people focused, and you guys have come up with a solution at Ultradent that has really just not only weathered the storm, but actually made Ultradent an even better place to work than it was pre-pandemic, which I think is phenomenal. So thank you so much for jumping on with us today.
thank you.
This series was brought to you by Tactic, the hybrid work solution of the future. Tactic will help your team enjoy all of the benefits of a flexible workplace while taking care of the less enjoyable challenges. Let's make work better together. Get your free trial today at gettactic.com/future.